Panorama documentary following a group of four people around, I believe, for 6 months. Tell me about that experience for you and what you learned.
What I learned was up and down the country you have a problem up and down the country with young black males. It's not only on their parts; it's shared. Sometimes you can't help yourself, and you're not gonna get out of problems. But the system also doesn't really help them as well because of the bosses are not used to having young black males working for them. Not used to, maybe the young black males don't know how to present themselves properly in these environments, which is not their fault because the environment they're actually from. But me learning over the last 6 months up and down the country, there is a problem, but it should be rectified because it's costing the government a lot of money, over 800 million plus.
What kind of solutions do you think could be put in place to rectify the problem? Because I understand that you think that obviously there is a problem with employers, but how much can young black males do themselves to?
Yeah, but they are. I was in Topstep and talking to some lads over there, and they were saying, look, we've got the education, we've got the drive. We may not be from the area you want us to be from, but we're really good people and we're willing to work. And we've got the degrees, but there's still blockages stopping us to kind of present ourselves. And the old saying, it's an old saying, don't judge a book by its cover, which really does ring home to me because one of the lads was saying that he was on Toxteth and he had his applications put in or emailed across, none at all. He took the address and said to one of his friends who was from a better area, can you send my CVs in from your house? Then he started getting applications back and responses.
So there's a postcode discrimination.
Yeah, there is,
And do you think it's names as well? Certain names
I think it's names. I think it's definitely postcodes and definitely names as well. So they got to go. I think some of the employers and bosses have to look past what they've seen before. They say sometimes they want to employ people who look like them, and that's the kind of, it's almost like a safety kind of thing. I employ you. You've got the same mentality as me, and you look kind of like me, and that's almost a comfort thing, an easy thing for them to kind of fall into. But I think the young black males have, with the young black women, they're doing really well. So they are on their own, and when you look at the figures, 49% of young black males who can actually work are unemployed.
I understand the Department for Work and Pensions disputes that figure, saying more like 1 in 6 because that 49%, there are quite a lot of them.
Well, even if you take the vocational skills out, things like that, it drops down to 44%. Still a lot of people, young black males.
To young and white males, it's a lot higher. I think it's 21%.
It's 1 in 9. It's 1 in 9, and the counterpart says young white males is almost 1 in 6.
Now you say that football changed your life. If you hadn't been football, you may have been in trouble. Tell me about that.
I'm from Stratford.
Yeah.
From Stratford, yes, I've got my head screwed on, but you just never know. You are surrounded by a lot of things. You're surrounded by a certain degree of violence. You are surrounded by a certain degree of drugs. I grew up seeing that around me. On the streets. It's normal. So even if you're kind of switched on, I could easily have got sucked in if I didn't really go to football. But I did have my mind and my brains, and I knew I had to work, and I went to school, did all my school stuff, and I was conscious of that. I had to kind of, make sure I get an education, because I'm from a big family, and sometimes it's just, you work and you feed and you house, and one of 12. So my parents weren't really into education. They were saying the schools educate you. Bam! I don't need to do anything at home and things like that. It's not their fault. That's how they live, especially in a big family. So, but in back of my mind, I always, said to myself, I had to educate myself and at school and do a little bit extra to make sure you know, I didn't know I was going to be a footballer. I didn't know.
But you have that innate sense of confidence. Now, some youngsters
Haven't got that.
Yeah, and that's,
I haven't got it. It's been taken out.
But how do they find it within themselves? Do you think create that right mentality?
Well, I think yes, it is difficult, but it's role models. It's also I went to a support group called Leap, and they're fantastic. They're great. You know, but at the moment they're in trouble because they need funding, and they're fantastic. They're so when you're dealing with young black males, you've got to be, it's a particular way you've got to kind of treat them to get the best out of them, and it almost rebuilds them and reboots them as well. Things which have not been learnt before because of the environment that we're living in, and it kind of gives them confidence, allows them to kind of understand the rules of engagement when they're actually sitting down and having a conversation with the boss, and also to sell themselves to the boss and say, look, forget my colour, just look at what I can do.